welcome to Portal Stormer. I'm Kelly, and this is a video about the evolution of my mental health journey, at least this year. I wanted to just touch on the things that I've learned and what's worked in my life. There might be some people out there like me who might have been through some childhood trauma and dealing with CPTSD or other things I've learned about myself, such as ADHD and so on. But I wanted to go back to the beginning, at least to the beginning of my journey, which was around the late December 2024, and has really gone through a lot of ups and downs. But I wanted to just share, in order at least, how I've journeyed through this and come above, floated above quite a few things that I was dealing with before, not dealing with them properly. So what I wanted to start with was facing the shadows of the things in my past that were with me, but I didn't face properly until this year in January. I've posted a few videos about that on this channel. Penwell Ridge Retreat Centre. I went there and did a 2-day, completely unplanned in terms of what I was going to do until I got there. But there were so many things that had dragged me down that I'd pushed to the side, that I'd ignored or didn't take seriously. And for people out there who understand what it's like to go year after year just dragging your knuckles, just to, keep paying the bills, to keep the status quo, and repressing almost your innermost desires and dreams because of the material world, the things that we have to do. I mean, there's always somebody who has to keep paying the bills and getting things done, so it's not like there was any begrudging on my behalf on having to do my part. But I found, especially with the job that I'm still in, it's a struggle, but the struggle has gotten a lot better, and I am waiting to hear about a couple of jobs that I've put in applications for and had interviews for remote work, so I'm happy about that. But in late December I had a complete mental breakdown, and it was more than what I'd ever thought a mental breakdown was. No one ever tells you that it's not just, oh, I'm having a real bad time. It's feeling like you will never get out of it. I felt like I was free falling into a bottomless pit that never ended. I never landed. And usually when you're having some kind of a mental breakdown, you do hit bottom. I felt like I was going through the bottom and kept going. I didn't feel like I had a leg to stand on. It was horrible. And there was a few days there was a 3-day period where I thought I was losing it. I was going to end up in the loony bin. I couldn't grasp onto what was wrong, but I knew there were several things, and kind of knew but didn't really know, because I had stopped journaling. Therefore self-analysis had been out the window for years. I'd stopped interacting a lot with people outside of work and kept myself really fenced in order to protect myself, because there's a lot of people out there who are very triggering. And in my line of work, in social services, you have a lot of people coming in trauma dumping, and fair enough, they're going through stuff too, but they haven't got to that level where they realise, oh wow, this is fucked, I've got to get over this, I've got to stop treating people like this, doing this and that to myself and the people I love, and so on. And it's especially maddening when you're going through the journey and learning yourself, and therefore lifting yourself above, and seeing other people still coming at you with that attitude. So it used to be really triggering, but it's funny how going through this journey I've learned to rise above and actually see people as people, not just monsters coming at me, and learning how to differentiate between who's projecting their own trauma and who has a vested interest in hurting you. So that's been a really good journey for me, learning how to see the forest and the trees at the same time. I'm just looking at my notes because I don't have my glasses on because I'm always glaring, reflecting light. What I was doing was I was blocking people out, the good, the bad and the ugly, which was not good for me or them. When I say them, a certain number of them. But when you shut yourself out because you're trying to protect yourself, sometimes you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater and you're not even letting the good ones in, the right ones in. So when people would offer to be there for me, or who would invite me out to things, I would constantly shut it off, and I kept lumping in the good people in with the bad and the ugly, thinking that everybody wants something from me, get away from me. And what I learned, there were several things that I learned when I went to the retreat centre in January, and just learning about how dark I was. And I did post a video about seeing my own darkness in a statue. It was amazing. Even now when I look at it, it gives me chills. At the Penrell Retreat Centre, Penrell Ridge Retreat Centre, they have these statues called the Mendicant Women, and when I look back now, I wonder if all of the women in that circle of statues represented a part of me. That's another thing I did while I was there. I completely suspended disbelief. I'd been going through years and years of believing I was an atheist and feeling righteous in that, and still there's a thread of that still in me. But I learnt at the Penrell Ridge Centre, Retreat Centre, that all that blocking I was doing, whether it was physical or spiritual or so on, was blocking everything out, the good stuff as well. And I might have missed out on opportunities, I might have not made good connections with good people, had great experiences. There was a lot that I cut myself off from because of that, staying in the shadows, enjoying it, even reveling in it, that really gothic adoration of the dark, you know. So even though I still have a thread of that in me too, I learned to not sort of make that my personality. That was a big problem I've had with when I watch other people's videos about going through depression, going through trauma and whatever. They get stuck in that cycle of that's all they talk about, that's all they want to talk about, and all they're obsessed with. And while I really love delving deep into the psyche, whether it's mine or other people's, that navel gazing can get a little bit too much. You're insular, it's all just, you know, regurgitation of the same crap over and over. And I have so many interests in so many other things, and I didn't want to be caught in that cycle of projecting that I was a survivor but also still a victim, because I think if you still have to keep talking and talking and talking about everything that happened to you, it proves that you haven't gotten over it. And while, yes, throughout life we stop and talk about it again because things evolve and change, I didn't want my personality to be that person who went through childhood trauma, the person who deals with anxiety and depression, because in a sense we all, to a degree, deal with those things. So I didn't want to become the survivor and that's all I talk about, that's all I'm interested in, because that kind of bores me. I do believe it's good to talk about it in order to help others, but and sharing your story where appropriate. But I'm doing this video to just detail how I went through it, and I'm still going through it, but I'm in a much better headspace now, even though I don't feel so good at the moment because of the still being in the same job and wondering what's going on. But I don't want to allow my happiness to hinge on whether or not I get whatever job I apply for, because at the end of the day, happiness is all about you and your attitude, and that has been another big lesson I've learned. And you can learn these lessons, hear people talk about it, read it, but the rubber never hits the road if you don't start doing it. And that's what I had to learn. I started doing it in January when I took myself to this retreat. I was there all on my own. No one was helping me or guiding me. It was a huge property, 130 acres, and I was there all on my own, but didn't eat, didn't sleep through those 2 days, but really unearthed a hell of a lot because of my writing. And I am a writer. I have to remember that. I'm very good with writing as well as getting my own feelings out. So that has really helped me, because when you do that, you're mapping your progress, and it kind of forces you to move along, get better, rather than just talking and talking and talking about it and not properly analysing where you are. So circular thinking and negative self-talk was a big deal for me. I was always doing it. I've posted videos again about that when I've gone through that, whether it be self-harm or whether it's wallowing in depression or feeling like you're just never going to get out of it. I will say there were many times there was passive suicide ideation where I would be thinking, well, if I keep doing this, at least that'll end it, and people won't know because they'll think, oh my God, it was an accident, or it was this or that, it was stupid. When I say it was stupid, I'm not negating anybody who might be feeling that right now. I understand 1,000,000% what it's like to be in that pit and looking through that lens. That's the important part. When you look at your life and the world and other people through that dark lens, of course everything you see is going to be negative. It's going to reinforce your limiting beliefs. It's going to make you feel like you're righteous in ending up doing the deed. But a lot of that I feel is very petulant and kind of childish, because it's like, if you can't fix it, fuck it kind of thing. Everything's shitty, everything's bad, so what's the point? That's projection. Bringing it back to your center and asking yourself the questions, why am I thinking this? Why am I choosing only to focus on the negative? And questions like that really help illuminate the situation, and then you realize, well, this is just as arbitrary as focusing on the good stuff, the positive stuff, what good works that people do in the world, and the things that we enjoy. You just chose to look through the dark lens rather than the light lens. Now, going into the darkness is important. If we can't learn about ourselves if we don't face our shadows. But again, it doesn't need to be an ongoing, this is who I am kind of thing, because then you're always wallowing in the shadows. I just wanted to put that out there. That was a big lesson for me. And how I learned about the flow of life and chaos, I've posted a video. It's called Infinity Yang. It's just this idea I've had since I started going through this healing process in January. The idea of how we're always straining for the light, but we don't realize that darkness is a part of that light, and you can't have one without the other. And that was really important for me to learn, because I categorized everything that I didn't like or didn't enjoy experiencing or whatever as the dark side, and I've got to get away from that to the light to do all the good things. But it's interesting that what I might think is good, someone else might think is dark. And it was the realization that chaos and control is it's the impetus that controls life. I kept doing this thing all the time, like bad, good and bad, white and dark, whatever. But that flow of energy depends on who's looking at it, the watcher, the perceiver. It depends on who's receiving it, because there's that saying, what is beautiful or good for the spider is chaos to the fly. I forget the saying, I butchered it, but anyway, you get the drift. But I wanted to talk about that too, as well as how I opened up to magical thinking. I just mentioned that with the atheism. I did open up really nicely at the retreat center. I did some tarot cards, meditations. I opened myself up to whatever sign I saw, whether it was the deer, the little deer that came to visit first thing in the morning, the first morning I was there at the retreat, or other things like getting messages while I was holding onto the magnolia leaf, telling me to stop looking over my shoulder. And that's something that, even though I needed to do that in order to go through this crap to you know, get better, looking back all the time is no good. You do have to keep at least one eye on the future. But there were other little miracle things, like the statue. I saw my boss's face in a statue. It still makes my spine tingle because it was so much like my boss's face. It was almost like somebody did go in there and quickly put a statue they made of him in there, and he has a very distinct face, so that was fascinating. So all these little miracles here and there, learning about the ebb and flow of life and realizing that everything I was trying to force my life to be was deliberately outside of the ebb and flow of life. I didn't want to be involved in the ebb and flow. I saw life and the other people in it as the enemy. And when I watched, looking out the window, watching the little birds flying down from the feeder and the trees to the ground, and then this dance they were doing, and I was thinking, wow, that was a big lesson for me. No matter how much I keep projecting that I hate life and hate people and whatever, it keeps going, and you just have to go with the flow. You have to learn that. It's when you stop and set yourself apart and step aside from the world, which you do need to do sometimes, because, you know, the world is the world. But when you do that all the time and you're not in the flow, you don't learn how to go with the flow. You don't learn how to see things from a different perspective and rise above even, which is something that's been very helpful for me. I think I've avoided quite a few pitfalls this year since January by applying that lesson. It's not so much not caring, but in essence it really is. You've got to stop caring about shit that doesn't matter. Stop worrying if somebody is going to be mad at you. For me, learning that I had ADHD opened that up for me, realizing everyone's coming at me for a reason. They're coming at me to hurt me or to have a go or to make me do something. And I realized that was related back to when I was a child with my mum's alcoholism and her narcissistic ways. I always had to cater to her, and she would get full of rage, and I had to meet that in order to throw her off my scent, because if you do that, at least she would back off if I was just as mad as her, even though I had no idea what she was angry about. But having to match that and then thinking that people were mad at me really made things hard for me. But I've risen above that now and don't even try to read into people's motivations. I wait for them to present that dark side first without expecting it, because oftentimes when you go into situations expecting something to be bad, it will be, because you laid down the blueprint for it to happen. So learning to rise above that and not caring, in terms of not caring about this projected outcome that you think is going to happen, really helped me. Just opening up, and that compassion that I felt when I opened up my heart to my mother's story. I had to do that in order to really not only forgive Mum, which was for myself. Now, she had passed away in early 2023, but that when I opened up my heart and realised I was operating from such a place of hate and resentment and bitterness, it was making the situation worse. So when I opened up and started seeing other people with that same lens, almost like putting on rose-coloured glasses, I realised that when I was projecting that darkness, no wonder it was coming back at me. So when I started projecting the light and being open and smiling and, hey, I know she's having a bad day, but she's not really meaning this against me, or whatever, whoever the person was, whatever the situation. When I opened up and just smiled and let it flow over my head, pass me by, whatever, and really just hone in on the actual truth of the matter, things went so much smoother for me, and I kept doing it, kept paying it forward. I'm grateful that I've turned it into a pattern now, because I find that when I go in with that positive mindset to start with, even if negative things do rise up, I can deal with them a lot better. Whereas beforehand I would just be like, that scorpion tail was ready to come down and spike whoever it was that I assumed was having a go at me, or trying to get the better of me, or trying to get something from me, whatever. I realised, no, that's not what's happening. They just enjoy my company. And that ties into the self-worth. I always assumed when people were coming at me is they just like to annoy me. And then it was something my husband pointed out to me, that I can attract people with my personality because I am very caring and open. I'm very down to earth. I can be very ribald. I don't know if you use that word here in America, but I can be really silly. I can tell rude jokes and not even flinch. I swear. I don't swear a lot on this channel, just out of courtesy to anybody out there who might be offended by it. But realising that people enjoyed telling me their stories, I'm a very good listener. And when people tell me their stuff, it's not because they're wanting to dump on me. Sometimes they just feel, oh my God, this person probably cares and will listen and maybe can help me. And there's nothing wrong with that. All my life being a Virgo too, I've kicked against the idea of having to serve, because the Virgo is the server, the person who serves and helps others. And that upset me, because I was as a kid always having to be the mother, not only to my brothers but to my mother as well. Whether it was getting them off to school because she couldn't, or getting dinner started because she was too drunk, or dealing with her crap or whatever. I always had to be that person, but realizing that sometimes it's okay to open up and let people share their stories with you. They're not trauma dumping per se, unless they're coming at you trying to get something from you, especially in social services. We get a lot of clients. Well, when I say a lot, there's many clients who are used to putting their hand out and expecting everyone to help them. And when you can't help them because, you know, you're operating within the confines of the protocols and policies and procedures of your job, they get aggressive and threatening and everything like that. And I learned how to see the difference between those types of clients and the ones who are, I'm desperate, I'm in a bad situation, I'm living in my car, my kids were taken off me, whatever situation. Yes, you might have done a few things along the way to contribute to it, let's face it, because there's a lot of people out there who like to blame everybody else. Especially these days, there's a lot of people who, I didn't do anything wrong, and it turns out you were the culprit. But we get many clients who come in who are just victims of circumstances. They married the wrong guy, or whatever situation or whatever choice they made has led them to this. So there's no point in seeing them as lumping them in with the other people who do this for a living. I was able to rise above it and help them and guide them, and that was the beautiful thing, learning I can still cherry pick who I help, or at least to what level, because, you know, for my job I have to do it, but there's some people it's obvious they're just time wasters, or they want you to hold their hand, or they're not taking everything seriously and assuming that there'll always be a safety net. Well, not always, who knows, especially the way politically in this country how things are going. But people do need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, and at least the people who are prepared to do that, I've been happy to help. But that was a message that Mother Mary gave me in the well, which was a meditation room at the retreat centre, that everybody's broken. That's true. But I still reserve the right to choose who I pick, because, you know what, you don't want to admit all kinds of energies into your space. Some people are just poison, so that's the way it is. You just move on. Not caring has meant a really big deal to me, especially when dealing with co-workers for whatever's going on. Sometimes, you know, just dealing with other people can be annoying, But remembering, and this was a lesson that I learned with my marriage, just as much as you have to put up with them, they have to put up with you. So that's been something, just learning the middle way, which is a Buddhist term. Balancing things out and bringing that pendulum swing back to center, and at least keeping it there as much as possible, because the winds will blow you about a bit. And that was another big lesson I've learned. You don't just all of a sudden get to the plateau and everything is cool. Now I've made it. Life is ups and downs, and that was a lesson that was really hard for me, because I expect that I can control that everything will be peaking all the time. What a bunch of bullshit. But anyway, learning how to go with the flow. But for me, it was floating above it, not trying to immerse myself in whatever thought, if it was just too much this way or that way. And I've been sharing my stories on YouTube, especially I did a series, and will continue to do it, dealing with darkness, because I still have that core to me that I'm dealing with. And with my astrology, the North Node I have is Taurus. I've got the Moon in Taurus. So the South Node is Scorpio. So I'm coming from the fires of Scorpio and heading towards the calm blue ocean of Taurus. And I have, in Chinese astrology, I'm a fire horse, horse, element fire. I was born in 1966. I'm ancient. So I incorporated the fire horse in with the scorpionic energies that I'm trying to move away from, and then towards the peaceful world of Taurus. So I'm learning to get away from that, because I can very easily slip down into that fiery pit, and have no issue with using that scorpion tail, but oftentimes it's overkill, and I have to turn around and apologize if I snap too much, because sometimes I can be like that. But rising above that's been a great lesson, and keeping that meditation going. Yes, I've still got those flames tickling at my feet, but I'm heading towards Taurus, the cool blue light of Taurus, and getting to that stage where I can feel comfortable with my life and not expecting it to be whatever I'm projecting. That's another thing that's really important for mental health, I think, is gratitude, especially with depression. Just looking around and just seeing what you have, what you've done, what you've achieved, who loves you. They're good things to focus on. That's the positive, and that can really help temper those dark pits where you think everything's lost. Because I used to say as a mantra to myself all the time, well, you're not living in a war-torn country, what are you bitching about? Now that's not useful, but at the end of the day, when you do look around and just be grateful that you have the life you have, even if it's not a great life in terms of what outsiders might think, oh, I'm living under a bridge, thanks, yeah, but you know, be grateful you're alive. I mean, you have to have certain grades or levels of gratitude, just even at those little mini pits that happen. Well, when I get home, I'll have a nice cup of soup and watch a movie. You know what I mean? Those things that can help keep you up. And some people might say that they're little platitudes and things that, oh, that's pathetic. No, you have to do whatever works. That's what I've learned. And so I also wanted to talk about the journaling again. BetterHelp. I've been going through BetterHelp therapy, virtually doing video sessions with my therapist, who's lovely. She's been really a great guide for me. And while I'm not poo-pooing the service, I'm really happy to have it, to have a witness, to hear my ups and downs. And she's guided me really well. It's not like I didn't know a lot about psychology. I've been very interested in psychology, read books all the time, listen to audio books, watch movies, documentaries. I'm fascinated with the psyche. So a lot of knowledge I just hadn't applied, which is so ironic. It's just like with losing weight. You can buy all the diet books in the world and get all the fancy ingredients and stuff, but the rubber has to hit the road. You've got to put one foot ahead of the other. But With the therapy, I've found there's they have their online journal, which I journal and share my entries with my therapist, which is really helpful. But it just taught me, and I'm back journaling again and writing again, not just for these channels. I'm here on Portal Stormer as well as Hedwitch Herbarium, which I've been focusing on a lot more now, because I realise that's really my true love: herbalism, witchcraft, and everything in between. I realised with this channel, I know I'm digressing, I'm sorry, but on this channel I wanted to talk all about mental health through storytelling. I'm going to be continuing that. But finding a true path, and it's not about having a low number of subscribers. For me, it was realizing if I want to put my energy into something, let it be something I'm truly passionate about. I'm truly passionate about herbalism, dream interpretation, numerology, and gemstones, and psychology too, which is why I'm going to be hooking back here and dropping videos every now and again. I'll be posting a schedule once I get my ass into gear. So you'll know at least when to expect what I want to continue doing, the numerology profiles and so on. But there I am rambling. I just wanted to share with you my path. It was, rising above and seeing things from a bird's eye view, and not filtering everything that's happening to you or said to you or that you're experienced through that negative filter, which is easy when you've been through trauma, and that's how you've learned to deal with life. So rising above and seeing the truth in the matter, brutal truth and brutal honesty is that's my jam. But I'm cushioning it in compassion. That was something, opening the heart and forgiving. There's a lot of times where forgiveness will not help, doesn't help the justice. That's what we're thinking. When we forgive people, that means we've told them that it's okay what you did to me. No. Forgiving people is saying, you know what, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to care about this anymore. I want to move on. So you know what, good luck to you, but I'm moving on. I feel like for me that was a very necessary thing to do. So being grateful, like I said, journaling, and seeing the truth of the matter, even if it goes against the grain. It's very easy to be sticking to your guns and just to be stubborn, that cognitive dissonance that a lot of people do. But when it comes to your own mental health, that's you, that's important, you want to protect it. But sometimes when you're believing all the bullshit and not really honestly looking at yourself with X-ray vision, then you're not really evolving, I think. And for me, it was that analysis without having to constantly talk about it, without having to allow it to become an identity, has been really important for me. I'm very altruistic. I like to keep things, I like to know where I stand, and I like to know the absolute truth of the matter, not the projected bullshit. Now, having said that, let me say this. I'm also enjoying getting back into witchcraft and getting back into the magical side of life. But for me, it's about what helps me, what serves me, and makes me feel good, and what I enjoy doing, rather than using it as an absolute truth, because that's another lesson I've learned. You have your own truths, but so do other people. But to me, the top tier is actuality. We can say, this is my reality, that's your reality, but then there's what's actually going on. And I like to look from that point of view. I like to look down with the bird's eye view. Yes, I feel like this, and I love this, and blah, 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 but this is what I'm actually doing. I like that because it keeps me in check and stops me going down rabbit holes that will prevent me from evolving, which is what we should all be wanting to do, evolve as human beings. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this off. I wanted to read to you 2 journal entries, just very, very short, from when I first started journaling, before I went to the retreat centre, and to what I did this week, because I'm feeling a bit down this week, so it's interesting to compare. On the 4th of January I wrote, I am not who I wanted to be, but I can't remember who that was supposed to be. I have too many irons in the fire, so I have to pick a lane. if I have all the time in the world, it still wouldn't be enough. I'm sick of myself. I was pretty down and dark. But then on the 7th of May, which was just a few days ago, I said, I'm sick of feeling like I'm in a holding pattern. Trying to stay positive, but I'm feeling low lately, although I'm keeping my head above water. Now, the interesting thing about that, I thought, was you could easily say, wow, she's circled back around, now she's back where she started. Not in the least. While I'm really annoyed with not knowing what's going on with the jobs, it really annoys me how long they take to let you know whether or not you got the job. But I've been feeling a bit sick too, so I can see the forest and the trees. Yes, I've been feeling a bit low, and I'm sick of being in a holding pattern. I need to shake this up and find this new job so I can get out of the job that's very triggering for me. If not the clients, then co-workers, some co-workers. But at the same time, I can create this content. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy sharing the things I love doing, that I'm interested in, and I want to continue to do this. I want to share more updates, but I'm really focused at the moment on the Hedgewitch Herbarium channel, and I will put a link. I know I said that in one of my previous videos, but this time I will. And I will be coming back here to do numerology profiles, short numerology profiles, stories about mental health. I want to share some movies that have really helped me and do some movie reviews, so that's going to be interesting. I might even do tarot here again, but I don't want to treat this channel like it's the one I go to when I'm bored with the other one. I'm trying to be mindful of updating something every week on both channels, so I will be doing that. But I wanted to share this update and just know that mental health is very important, but it doesn't have to be your whole life. There's some very basic things which I'm just really surprised I didn't hold on to, like learning how to snap myself out of negative self-talk. Once you get those things down pat, it's like, okay, I will continue to work on myself, but there's other things that I need to focus on too. And for me, that's helped, because I could easily go down a rabbit hole of this is all I do, this is all I talk about, and it's not who I am. But I wanted to share this for anyone who's struggling out there. You can go through therapy, you can take medication. I didn't take medication, I just did it cold turkey, so to speak. But at the end of the day, for the rubber to hit the road, you just have to do it. You've got to turn around and face yourself and say, okay, who are you? Why are you doing this? Why are you thinking like this? Oh, that happened to you? Let's deal with that. Let's talk about it. So journaling, making sure that you're around other people so you can bounce your ideas off them, because if it turns out you're going down the wrong rabbit hole, that can be just as annoying. Remembering that the trauma that triggers you doesn't have to be the rule of law in your life. Learn what your triggers are, avoid them to a degree, but also learn how to deal with them, because I think that's what a lot of people are doing lately is, well, if I'm triggered by something, everyone has to construct a whole world around me if they want to deal with me, and we don't have the time. And I realised that with other people. I was kind of the opposite. I never told anybody anything, not even my husband. There were some times when I was really crashing. So taking control of yourself, and even if God forbid, but even if it was really intense childhood trauma, if you went through a whole range of different types of abuse, yes, you need help from other people, but just remember, you're the one who puts one foot ahead of the other. No one else can make you do it. And I found for me, I did it tough. I took myself to that 2-day retreat, and it's been a journey since then. But it's only like, not even 6 months since then. And the way I'm dealing with the daily crap is so superior to how I was before this journey happened. Simply by incorporating those simple steps. Analysing myself by journaling. Being gracious and being grateful, about the things that I already have. Not focusing on the things I don't have. And as well, understanding that other people are just projecting too. We're all in it together. writing and therapy is helpful if you can afford it, or at least talking to a good friend, connecting, but then knowing when to withdraw, to lick your wounds, to write and get it out. But also distract yourself by, especially when you're in a dark spiral, why am I focusing on this? Why am I not focusing on the light side of life, or this or that? Those little tricks are really helpful. It's a journey. I've been putting one foot ahead of the other, and I will continue, but I'm really happy, and I should say that I'm proud of myself that I did this all without medication. With the therapy, with her guiding me, it's been lovely, and to have her witness to me and my ups and downs. And going into a better year, this is in numerology, this is a 5-year for me. It's supposed to be great. It's getting better and better. No matter the little frustrations that might try to drag me down, I'm not allowing it. I'm really enjoying the fact that I'm coasting and not falling into the dips. I'm just, okay, well, we're back up again, okay, rather than plummeting and staying there for years. I'm never going to do that again. But anyway, I hope you found this interesting or informative, and please share your own stories if you've been through it, or you are going through it, or you don't even know how to go through it. I'm happy to post more videos about other healing modalities and things like that. But take care, and I hope to talk to you soon. And please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. The channel really needs it. Thank you.